So we're live on the Energy Superheroes podcast with John Bucur. He's the founder and CEO of AirBuild, and they grow and sell algae as a sustainable biofuel. That sounds amazing to me. I'm excited to learn more about it. John, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate you guys reaching out. Super cool.
Absolutely. Well, so John, tell us about AirBuild. I have never heard of growing and selling algae as a sustainable biofuel, but I do know that biofuel in general is really a hot sector of the market right now.
Yeah, so right now, biofuel is pretty much plant-based, and actually there are algae biofuel companies that exist. And what they do is they grow algae in a pond or what's called a photobioreactor. After algae is great because, as a plant, it has multiple purposes for creating sustainable materials and biofuels, but in the process, it sequesters carbon dioxide to grow. So there's a lot of opportunity to be extracted from algae just by itself.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, it's really
So
cool.
how long have you guys been at this?
So I wrote down the original idea for what I wanted to do probably in 2016. So right when I'm a young guy, by the way, and I'm non-technical. I'm 23 years old. I started school in 2017, but I wrote down the idea in 2016, and I started getting my team about a year and a half ago. I started hiring about 2 years ago, and I solidified the management team about a year and a half ago. And we've been doing R&D since then, and we're just beginning our raise.
Amazing. That's
Yeah,
that's really cool. I actually
yeah,
was a founder at about your age myself back in the late 90s. Usually don't talk about this because this is about energy, but I started my
yeah.
career in the internet business. And we had a digital media company, was one of the top 200 sites on the internet. And I was about your age.
Me too. That's how I started off.
Oh,
I'm
awesome.
not even so through college to make a living pretty much. Me and a roommate had an advertising company and we were in the music industry. So even though I'm an algae, I guess a lot of my um, experience that I'm carrying over is more on the branding and advertising side of things. But algae is something that I'm passionate about. So I was able to fuse both together.
That's
But
awesome. We
that's
call
cool.
it, I steal that from a guy named Scott Adams. It's called a talent stack. Okay. When you
Yeah.
have different skill sets in different areas, you stack those talents together and then it allows you to be more successful because you bring a unique perspective to a different industry.
Yeah. It's really cool. That's cool that you were in that field as well. Wow.
Yeah. So, well, interesting. Now you're in the energy sector, and of course, it's very technical. So, tell me about how you're bringing sort of technical experts to bear to be able to make the company successful.
So what I had to do to understand, and there was a learning curve for me specifically because I was more on the business side of things and the advertising side of things. I knew that there was going to be a learning curve, so I built a team specifically to fill in my gaps, and then I brought someone on the team to bridge the gap. So what I mean by that is, I we wanted to take an engineering perspective for algae. Currently, algae companies, they are really biologically focused. How can we grow more algae from the genes itself, from the DNA of algae? How can we change it to grow more algae? But I'm like that. There's inefficiencies to be found in the way that algae is grown from a farm standpoint. So we can re-engineer it. So from that point, I started AirBuild and I put out applications. I started interviewing engineers for a co-founder position. The guy I found, his name is Himanshu Mohade, and he's now a friend of mine after so long doing R&D with him, but we couldn't be more different. He's very technical and I'm non-technical, and it eventually came to a point where we had brought another engineer slash MBA on the team because of his experience in the solar industry at one point, and he's kind of like a translator in a way. Um, luckily, luckily, I don't need a translator as much anymore because you read a lot of engineering books and biology like papers over time. You start to get a hold of it yourself. But in the early stages of the company, he was able to communicate what I want, how I want it done, and the vision um, to our team properly. And it turned me into a better communicator to be able to do that. And I'm still learning every day. So
No, for
Yeah,
sure. I got into the energy sector originally in 2009 and then helped start a company called Power Phase in 2011. Makes an
yeah,
upgrade system for gas turbine plants. And really for about the first 4 years when the aerothermal engineers were talking about gas turbines, I really didn't know much. And then like
yeah,
this is going to sound a little crass, but one of them said to me, listen, all you have to know is that all a gas turbine does is suck, squeeze, bang, blow. And then
yeah.
after I wrapped my head around that and understood the principles of how it worked, then I was actually able to get my name on a patent at one point.
Yeah, it gives you intense humility at first to know that you want to do something, and it gives you pain to know that it's harder to do it because you have to take time to develop the skills. But luckily, I had translators by my side. I call them a translator. I also call them my lawyers in a way, um, because they know how to word everything perfectly in the engineering world. And um, I feel like I was very blessed with the team that I brought on, even though we ran into a lot of challenges during the R&D. And we're really exciting. We just brought a new biologist on the team, and he's more of the gray hair in the room. He's a much older fella than the rest of us, but he thinks very young. And which we liked about him is he was just as inspired as any person before they start college or what when they're like a child, like the ideas that you have. So really cool that the team is growing too. But yeah.
Awesome. So now you've got your team together, you're developing a product and you're going to be taking it to market. Where are you in the product development life cycle? And when do you expect to have the product ready for, say, commercial sales?
Yeah, so as far as the modeling, our product, what our novel difference, because at the end of the day, we produce a sustainable material and a biofuel, but that is an existing product. And I guess what we offer to the industry that is different is the method in which we grow it. So normal companies, they use a photobioreactor to grow algae in, or they use a pond, but we're using a new growth method that hasn't hit the market altogether. And then we're also doing it in what we are calling like an artificial tree to basically make our environment bioactive. Like, how do we put tubes on the side of bridges containing algae? And we have the roadways, the carbon dioxide from the cars underneath getting sequestered by that. So for the engineering challenges, we've overcame them on a modeling standpoint. We've already done the designs and we've obtained the patents. This puts us at prototyping. So that's why we're beginning our raise now, is because we need to prototype a physical model. And what we're calling it is just phase one. Phase one is a parking structure. And that's really cool because people build parking structures to shade cars all the time. So if we can add it, they also put solar panels on them. So we know that they're used to absorb sunlight. We might as well use nature's solar panel, algae on the top of them, and that would be the test for phase one: is can we integrate algae growth on top of a parking structure and turn it profitable? So
Interesting.
we're going to prototype basically a parking spot, and the goal is 1,000 trees in a parking spot. Can we make it the equivalent of 1,000 trees? It's really cool.
That sounds really cool. Yeah. So you guys are going to go to market and do a raise. How much money are you trying to raise, and who do you think is sort of your ideal type of an investor?
We're raising 950,000 for just the prototyping stage, and we believe that'll take a year because just algae growth, you want to test it under different weather conditions as well. Even though it's going to be in a controlled environment that it's grown inside tubes on top of a structure. So our go-to market wouldn't be for a year at least. And for the go-to market part, sorry, it's like noise. Is it all good?
Sounds all good. Don't worry about it.
All right.
We've had barking dogs. We've had people walk by.
Yeah.
Nothing to worry about.
Okay. So our go-to market is not for a year at least after prototyping begins. And our go-to market fundraise will be around 3 million. Um, if that answers the question, yeah.
No, absolutely. So from our standpoint, that sounds like a seed stage round.
Yeah.
Where are you guys based, John?
I just moved out to San Diego. The team is scattered in Oregon and Boston and New York right now, but they'll be moving to San Diego as we started prototyping as well. They're already looking for like areas out here to come out to. And the reason I chose San Diego is because a great focus on algae growth industries blooming over here, literally blooming. I came here because of the potential to hire amazing talent for when we do finish raising.
Great. No, that's good.
Yeah,
So, I mean, your team is committed if they're willing to move to a new
yeah,
location in order to see the vision through. I think that's huge. There's a lot of venture capital activity, of course, in San Diego, and as you mentioned, the algae industry is big out there. You've got
yeah.
LA just up the road, and then of course the
Mhm.
Valley up in Northern California. So there's certainly enough capital out there to help you see your vision through. Um,
Yeah.
when do you actually expect to kick off the Series A fundraising? And what's your plan for? Are you going to do a road show or go to sort of pitch competitions, or how are you going to go about it?
Series A probably won't be for a few years because we just got to get past the seed. I've actually been learning to pitch actively from just some mentors that I have. And I went to Climate Tech Cocktails recently, based in Austin, where it was a startup showcase and it gave me an opportunity to pitch. But I'm definitely interested in more like pitch competition and opportunities to do the same.
Awesome. No, it sounds
Yeah,
good. Hopefully somebody will see this and reach out to you. We've got a few venture capitalists and funds that are that watch the show. So hopefully they'll come
that's
around.
cool.
And yeah, I meant seed stage. I didn't mean to say Series A.
Oh,
I know that's
yeah, that'll
a bit
be
out there for you. So I
that's
didn't mean to throw you
optimistic.
for a loop there.
Yeah, we take one step. We're taking one step at a time, but we retain the vision in our minds. That
Yeah.
rhymed, but yeah,
So,
yeah.
are there any of the people that you knew from the media, from the music industry, that are sort of interested in energy tech, clean tech, the energy world, or is it a totally separate world for you?
Not that I knew personally, but people that I know who knew. Like it's, I guess when you work in LA and you're in advertising, it's always a game of somebody who knows somebody who worked with this person. And but I guess an admiral effort that I've seen in clean tech or climate tech in any sort of way, or I guess I could call it more clean tech, is Jaden Smith, because he's been outspoken about renewables. Maybe he's been outspoken in the wrong way, but I think the intentions are good for Jaden Smith, Will Smith's son. And
Sure.
I think he's a pure creative. The ideas that he has for taking the world and renovating it, I think it's
Mhm.
really cool. I think if he had the right people around him to help uh, build business cases for those ideas, that's what he would need. But Jaden Smith is a really cool person that I could see investing into something like what we're doing.
Yeah, it was one of the reasons I made the change to the industry was sort of, when you're in digital stuff, it's great, but
Hmm.
being able to affect the physical world is I think a whole nother order of magnitude greater. And so I think you're going to see a lot more entrepreneurs like Elon Musk that are
Yeah,
focused on affecting the physical world in ways that impacts people's lives more physically as opposed to digitally. And I think this next, call it 20 to 30 years of creativity are going to be even more exciting than the last.
no doubt about it. Especially because there was a boom with software tech, and investors are always looking for the next software play. And I've seen a lot of talk about software climate technology plays, but the you can't just expect the software plays to be the only solution there. It's got to be at the core in the built environment, how things are constructed from the bottom up. So exactly what you said, correct.
Yeah, very cool. So, how many hours are you working? Are you finding some time to relax, or are you just like head down all the time?
Head down all the time.
Yeah.
And what I've learned about a startup is I think like anybody who starts a startup, they underestimate how much it really is. Um, and I think I think for me, it's been a game of balancing. Hey, hold up, guys. I'm in a meeting real quick. Sorry. I'm like on a meeting. My bad. Sorry about that. I just wanted to like get quiet first. There's a people around. But can we circle back to that question?
Absolutely. Yeah. Just tell me about your workload as a startup founder.
Oh, it's nonstop. Because you only not only do you have to do work as a startup for your startup, you have to find a way to survive while you don't have investors. So I do multiple things to survive. I work a job. I also do Uber Eats on the side. I chose not to get a full-time job so that I have more time to dedicate to the startup. Um, but even the other day, I was like at work and I was passing out, and I was like, I called my mom. I said, "What's going on?" She's like, "You need to go get a massage." And but and then last night I walked into my apartment, and my roommate, who doesn't really know what I do, we just do our own things. My roommate and his friends were there, and they were in the living room, and one of the friends was pitching a startup to them. And I got so excited. I was like, guys, this is so cool. Whatever you're doing, I don't even know what you're doing, but just do it. Uh, I'll let you know this. It's a game of stamina because a lot of startups fail. And I think it really comes down to who stops doing what's need to be done. Because I've been reaching out to investors for like 6 months now, but it's hard um, for me to figure out the best way to communicate it. So naturally, there's a lot of failure at the beginning, right? So I wasn't telling people that we're trying to bring nature and the built environment together at first. I was creating more of a business sense. And because of that, it looks great on paper, but it's not a very inspiring business. So I had to go back to the roots of what inspired me, and the workload became easier after that. Because I
Yeah,
remember
for
what I
sure.
loved about it. Yeah. So if you
There's
love
so
what you're
many
doing, the
pitches
work,
and so many companies that it's very difficult to differentiate yourself. And
yeah,
really, if you can inspire some emotions, it goes back to your storytelling that you learn in the entertainment industry. If you can inspire some emotions, then people
yeah.
remember you.
If you love what you're doing, it's easier for the workload. So I guess they're like bringing pastries to the shop.
I'm glad
But
that you got stuff going on because
yeah,
that really shows the audience what it truly is to be an entrepreneur, because you have to be able to be flexible and deal with those early days when you don't have everything all set up
don't
and
get
you
me
don't
wrong
have
though.
the office and the money and all that stuff.
Yeah,
It'll come down the road.
don't get me wrong though. My mom, she called me last week. She said you should go to the beach, and I took an investor meeting at the beach. And but he was like mad. He was like, big respect to you. Like honestly, take care of yourself. I was like, I'm at the beach working, but we have the option to work anywhere we want now. That's what technology has given us. So I think like it's huge that it's bigger opportunities for everybody because of that. I can work wherever.
For sure. Having that
Yeah,
flexibility is an excellent thing. So
yeah.
you mentioned your mom. How has your family supported you in this effort to
Um,
sort of go down this journey?
I think, oh my gosh, I couldn't even describe it. Like my family is in a completely different field than me, as far as what they do and for work and how they make a living. But so they don't really understand the startup world like that. But I guess it's words of encouragement in every way. It's words of encouragement, and I can thank my parents for the sensitivity, um, my sensitivity growing up, because I think that's like who I am, is my sensitivity. I think my dad showed me Battlestar Galactica at an early age, and there's a race in Battlestar Galactica called the Cylons, and it's literally the humanoids mixed with the machines that they're working in. So the ships that are made of the same material as these humanoids, and it was like human and machine together. And I think like ever since then, my dad made me a nerd about certain things that allowed me to want to bring human and nature together in different ways.
Oh, that's
If that makes
awesome.
sense,
Yeah,
that's like a lot.
no, it
Yeah,
definitely makes sense. I mean, I always say if you want to understand somebody, you have to go back to their childhood, because how people
yeah,
are raised has a big impact on their personality and who they are. And so I can definitely relate to that. I have a
yeah,
son who's in college at UCF, and he's a digital media game design major and a computer science minor. So I always encourage him to do technical stuff, because I was always that non-technical guy. And I said, if you can
yeah.
have the leadership and the technical in one package, that's a winning combination. So I pushed him down. We watched the Star Wars and did all that sort of stuff when he was real small, and I think it fostered a love in technology for him.
I think when you see shows like Star Wars and Star Trek and like stuff like that, like that's what I grew up on also. And people can make fun of it, but the thing is, at the end of the day, they showed what a new world could look like. So when you see what the future could look like if things go correctly and people all come online, bright minds together to work together and create something beautiful, the world can look like that one day. Um, and that Star Trek was like a huge staple in my life growing up, and it's why I studied astrophysics when I first started college. So I'm non-technical when it comes to biology, but I had a bit of a physics background, and I switched to business because I realized this is going to be better for sustainability purposes. This I want to study sustainability, and my dad, he was just like inspired me a lot to go switch, even though I don't know what I was thinking, but it worked out perfectly, just how everything's supposed to. So yeah,
Yeah, for sure. That makes a ton of sense.
yeah,
And yeah, those worlds I like. I'll give a shout out to the movie Meet the Robinsons. Great movie for
I
founders,
know,
even though it's
right?
an animated show, but like
Yeah,
shows the future, and also that keep
Tomorrowland.
moving forward thing. If you just
Yeah,
practice that, and you might have to pivot one way or the other, but as long as you keep moving forward, you'll be successful eventually.
yeah. I don't know. Me and my team have had so many roadblocks by now that I just feel like if we just keep continuing to go over them and having the same decision making process for roadblocks and the same mentality through them, we could be good. And we need to spread it through anybody that we hire through the top down approach from the culture of the company. So I feel like that's what will save us from like death of the other startups. But
Yeah.
because we're still in early stages, we're very early stages, but we
Yeah.
have to have toughness.
You can find the right investor that really knows the industry
Mhm.
well, I think
Yeah,
that's really worth its weight in gold. That's worth more than the money.
yeah, definitely.
So, well, good stuff. John, is there anything I should have asked you that I didn't ask you?
Um, no, no, like you pretty much hit the nail on the head of what I'm trying to talk about. I just want to talk about bringing human and nature back together, figuring out a way to make it attractive to investors, and we can make cities look so beautiful if we bring greenery back in cities and make the air clean, and we can make a fuel out of it, which is even better.
No,
So
for sure. So
it's like, yeah,
tell people how to get in touch with you. So that way, if there's investors out there that want to reach out, they know how to reach you.
yeah. Check out our website, airbuild.energy. Check out my email is john@airbuild.energy. So people can email me. Um, my LinkedIn is John William Bucur. So just like how my name is spelled, but with William in the middle. And the company's called Airbuild. Just to clarify, it's one word. I don't know how I got the trademark for it. It was kind of a miracle, but yeah. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think everybody who's in the startup space, they always have a million trademarks that they've already filed and domain names that they've bought just for the future. But yeah, so that's how you guys can get in touch with me. And
Yeah, it
if you
is.
were listening,
It's absolutely hard to get one.
yeah,
I got really lucky when I got Energy.Media. It was
I know, yeah,
I was surprised that it was available. So
one word,
yeah, it's a
yeah,
good thing. But yeah,
really
these
cool.
new domain extensions. So it's energy,
Energy, yeah,
airbuild.energy. I love the new extensions because it makes more names available for people to be able to register.
yeah, and you already know what the company's about just from the end part of it. Pretty cool.
Exactly. So, well, awesome. We've had John Bucur on Energy Superheroes. He's definitely got a vision to change the future. And his company is called Airbuild. Check it out. It's airbuild.energy. They grow and sell algae as a sustainable biofuel in a really unique and novel way. And they're working on raising their Series A round of funding. John, it's been a pleasure.
Seed round,
Or excuse me,
yeah,
Series C.
yeah,
I keep wanting to
no,
make you guys later stage seed
no, yeah, it's
stage
all good.
round.
Yeah.
So I'm already picturing you guys as further along. I
Oh,
think
that's cool.
I think that's what the issue is. So, but
I've
no,
I've yeah.
they're raising their seed stage funding, and make sure you reach out to John if you're interested. John, thanks for
Yeah.
being on.
Thank you so much for inviting me and reaching out. You guys are cool. I think what you're doing specifically, like someone needed to do it. Because in the industry with investment and startups, if you're not in the Bay Area, it's really hard to get connected. So it's people like you who give people like me opportunity, who come out of Phoenix, Arizona, and they move to California. They need to make connections, and it's hard. So what you're doing, it means something. So thank you. Yeah.
John, I appreciate that. I appreciate it very much. Thanks for
Yeah.
being on.